How well do you know your own mind? And are you ready to have it blown? Welcome to Mindnificent. In today's video, we're delving deep into the psyche to discover 10 mind-blowing psychological facts that you need to know. Are you ready? Let's get into it. Number 1. Money can buy happiness, but only up to a certain point. Surely, you would have heard the age-old sentiment, money can't buy happiness. These words offer comfort, but surprisingly, this ideology couldn't be further from the truth. A research article published in 2018 titled Happiness, Income Satiation, and Turning Points Around the World found that money has a direct impact upon one's happiness. Money not only allows us to meet our basic needs, but it affords us the luxuries in life. So, how much money do we need to be happy? The global statistic estimates that emotional well-being is achieved when a person earns between $60,000 to $75,000. In fact, when a person's income reaches $95,000 per annum, they feel like they've succeeded in life. Interestingly, earning more than $95,000 didn't noticeably increase satisfaction, emotional well-being, or feeling of success. Of course, these figures are averages and can vary dramatically depending on where you are in the world. The takeaway here is that money can indeed buy you happiness, to a point. Once you reach the threshold, earning more doesn't make you happier than you already are. Number 2. We obsess over something when we feel like we are low on it. Remember during the early days of the pandemic when people went into a panic buying frenzy? Toilet paper became worth its weight in gold as terrified shoppers did their last-minute doomsday shop. So, what was that all about? It turns out the human race globally fell victim to the scarcity trap. When we feel like we are lacking something in our lives, we obsess over it until it becomes all-consuming. The feeling of scarcity can trigger feelings of jealousy, inadequacy, and even hostility in relation to others' perceived success. In response to these emotional triggers, we become obsessive and preoccupied with what we don't have to the point that it negatively impacts cognitive functioning, which in turn reinforces self-defeating actions. Rinse and repeat. Number 3. Catching a yawn could help us bond. When we say the word contagious, what do you instantly think of? COVID-19? Tinea? Wearing Crocs in public? I bet yawning didn't spring to mind. But now that we have you thinking about yawning, are you feeling one coming on? How is that even possible? Well, a study in 2018 discovered that individuals who displayed high levels of empathy were more susceptible to contagious yawning. It's thought yawning was an evolutionary trait that began in early humans as a way for the tribe to sync their sleep patterns with the rest of the group. As a yawn spreads around the campfire, the rest of the tribe knows it's time for bed. It just goes to show that empathy is an evolutionary advantage. Number 4. Food doesn't taste that good when we make it. Ever noticed that when you are cooking your Nana's favorite spaghetti and you follow the family recipe to the letter, for some ungodly reason, it never tastes as good as it does when she serves it up to you? Is there a secret ingredient she never told you about? No, Nana isn't being shady with the details. As it happens, the entire process of making the infamous spaghetti involves frequently imagining and thinking about the ingredients, the preparation, the cooking, as well as the delectable end result. Psychologically speaking, when we repeatedly imagine preparing, cooking, and eating Nana's spaghetti, the very imagining of the meal itself decreases the desire to eat the meal you just prepared, which in turn diminishes your personal enjoyment of the end result. In summary, stop sabotaging your own dinner with your memories. Number 5. We are not as good at multitasking as we think we are. During an interview, do you casually drop the term "great at multitasking" in your skill set? Sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but according to a 2001 study by David E. Meyer and Jeffrey E. Evans from the University of Michigan, we may not be as great at multitasking as we first thought. Research found that multitasking is the misguided belief that we are successfully executing two tasks simultaneously. But the truth is that on a cognitive level, our brains are frantically switching between the two separate tasks, meaning we are still only focusing on one task at a time. This process can occur so rapidly and seamlessly that the end result is the desired outcome. So naturally, we perceive ourselves as being great at multitasking. Number 6. We want to squeeze cute things. Have you ever seen a puppy, kitten, or baby that you felt deeply overwhelmed by their cuteness? You felt like you were about to burst at the seams with love? After which, you then felt an unexpected urge to squish, eat, crush, bite, or even punch the object of your intense desire? That, my friends, is called cuteness aggression. Let us be clear, despite the adversely contradictory thoughts and feelings cuteness can incite in someone, a person who experiences cuteness aggression under no circumstances wants to cause harm to the object of their extreme affection. Researchers have found that the aggression we feel in response to devastatingly cute stimuli is simply the brain's way of regulating an overload of all-consuming positive emotions. The outburst is simply a way of our brains bringing us back down to earth from the cuteness high. Number 7. It takes 5 positive things to outweigh a single negative thing. Bedtime. The perfect time to incessantly replay your life's most cringeworthy moments or ruminate over the hundreds of reasons as to why your junior colleague, who is still on probation, mind you, was given the promotion you applied for. Life is fraught with failures, bad news, and negativity. Why is it only the bad stuff that we seem to focus on, dwelling endlessly over what could have been? Just thinking positively sounds like mental gymnastics, and most of us aren't athletes in the slightest. This pattern of behavior is due to an innate negative bias, or a tendency to not only register negative stimuli more readily, but also to dwell on these events. This trait was useful to our ancestors in a time when perceived negative threats could be the difference between life and death. Now, while it was necessary for our survival back then, today it can become the root of many depressive and anxiety disorders. Fortunately, researchers have found the formula to overcome this bias. In order to strike a balance between the negative and positive, we need to focus on 5 positives to outweigh 1 negative. Start each day with an affirmation of 5 things that you're happy about. Number 8. Social media is psychologically designed to be addictive. Social media is the ultimate multitasker. How can something that socially connects us on a global scale be simultaneously isolating people whilst stealthily thieving hours upon hours of our precious time each and every day? You just arrived at work, then all of a sudden, it's home time. The endless scroll of social media seems like a harmless and fun way to spend your day, and you could stop at any time, right? Giving up may be more challenging than you think, because when we use social media, it stimulates neurotransmitters in your brain that are associated with pleasure. Add in the dopamine hit of every like, comment, share, and repost, and we've unintentionally conditioned our brains to be addicted to social media. But what comes up must come down, and just like a sugar rush, the initial dopamine hit wears off. Starved for pleasure, our brains want more, which explains how your initial 2-minute bathroom break scroll can, in reality, eat up half an hour in the blink of an eye. Number 9. We are programmed to love the music we listen to in high school the most. As an adult, you may notice that the music today just doesn't even compare to the emotionally intense soundtrack of your misguided youth. It lacks feeling and depth. Spoiler alert, despite how you might feel, the music wasn't actually better in your day. You feel that way because during our adolescent to young adult period, our brains are the most plastic they will ever be. Neuroplasticity is when the brain goes through a phase of reorganization, change, and growth, forming new connections in our brain. Consider it the spring clean of our neural network. When we listen to music, it stimulates the brain's pleasure center and it floods the brain with neurochemicals such as dopamine, oxytocin, and serotonin, which make us feel good. The brain recognizes listening to music as a rewarding activity because it makes us feel a natural euphoria, and from that, the activity and reward connection is formed. Music plays a significant role in our social development as a teenager, and during that emotionally charged time, we are also figuring ourselves out. The neural plasticity of this developmental period forms extremely powerful emotional connections with music during that period. These connections are so strong that in our adult minds, the music of today will never compare to nostalgic music of your adolescence. New music isn't bad, you're just old. And number 10, Plan B can actually affect the success of our Plan A. It's never a bad thing to have a backup plan, but a recent study might just change the way you look at contingencies. According to researchers at the University of Pennsylvania, people who create a well-thought-out backup plan are less likely to succeed on their original plan than those without a Plan B. In the study, researchers found that having a Plan B leaves options open and allows more room for failure. People feel secure with a backup plan and apparently put less effort into their Plan A when they have something to fall back on. The very act of making a backup plan means subconsciously we're preemptively making it acceptable to fail our main goal. Researchers and scientists say if you feel more at ease with a backup plan, make one, but make it vague and don't rely on it when things get tough with Plan A. Did we successfully blow your mind? Had you heard any of these amazing facts before? Let us know in the comments. Also, if you couldn't tell by the video title, this is just part 1 of a series we're doing here on Mindnificent, so make sure you stay tuned if you want to check out part 2. If you enjoyed today's video, please remember to subscribe and click on that bell notification button because more magnificent content is on the way. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.